Get your napkin ready.
So you see what happened? You saw that police put us out our way 45 minutes and they're closed. Now we met these amazing people, but tell us to keep the vlog real. When I meet nice people, because they're actually closed, I'm a beg them and I say, all right, come in. Yeah! We got the Kingston people there. Yeah! All right, look, as you guys can see, there's nobody here but us. And I'm so grateful and thankful that they're giving us a second chance. Hi. So yes. So these are the tour guides. And then close. Look, the big old padlock. Look, I'm not telling a lie. Look, the big old padlock. Lock up. Lock up. But they're so nice and kind. They're going to open up.
Miss Kwame.
Kwame. Thank you, Kwame.
You're welcome to the ancestral riverside, a place where our ancestors were held in captivity in their chains and shackles, had their last bath before they were sold to buyers to be taken to the dungeons, and finally shipped out of this land to the new world. Many reasons our ancestors were held in chains and shackles. Nobody knows actually what they were going to use them for. They took them across oceans 6,000 miles away from this land. But before they captured them, there used to be a very big, vast land. The continent itself wasn't even being called Africa. The oldest known name of the land was Akebulan. Akebulan. Yes, so the word Akebulan simply means land of humanity, land of all creations. Others call it Garden of Eden. For that reason, if you look around the entire continent, you realize that Africa has everything. We lack nothing. The only thing we are struggling with is how to use our own resources. Something the Europeans have as a head start or more like an upper hand over us. So they will come for our natural resources, take it out there, utilize it and bring the finished goods to us and sell it back. And the little money that they left, they'll come back for it again and take it to the new world. For several decades, our ancestors live on this land. This particular land, they had to fight each other for territorial expansions. Due to that, they had victims of wars. Those victims were never enslaved, rather they were inducted into various cultures. We practiced a system called indentured servitude. For that reason, victims of wars were even brought into the communities. So they were living freely among themselves until the Europeans started making their ways to this land. In the year 1471, we had the very first group of Europeans coming here. The Portuguese, led by Prince Henry the Navigator, came and they decided to build a fortress. Castillo de Elmina, or the St. George's Castle, was built after a couple of decades. They went into trade with us, gold, ivory, pepper, spices. After that, demand for enslaved Africans started building up in the New World. That was when, after they've been using the indigenous people of the land and they weren't doing war, they decided to come to Africa to get the men and women. And that suggestion, according to the historians, was brought up by one particular Portuguese priest called the Bartolomeu de las Casas. After a couple of decades of selling, they came here. They wanted our people, so they manipulated the chiefs into believing that those who have fought with them are enemies and still are. So they should do something about it. If they keep having them closer, they are going to lose them, because they are trying to learn their weaknesses and strength. If they know more about them, they will fight back, and there is nothing you can do. Let us help each other out. I have guns, weapons. I will provide you with some. In return, you will have to pay me back. The payment they were talking about was our ancestors. So then when the ancestors were giving the guns and gunpowders, the victims of wars were then given out. For a couple of decades, that was how it was. The Dutch, the Danish, the Spanish, the French, and the British started sailing across oceans when demand started going higher. They came here and they had to fight for a position. For nearly 130 years, they've been fighting. It was in the year 1651 that the British took over and they introduced raiding, kidnapping, ambushing, and burning homes. Children and families were pushed into the chains and shackles. Pregnant women, inclusively with the men, were all in there. They were made to walk for over 400 miles. A historian here in Ghana, Professor Akosia Adomapebi, professor of the University of Ghana, Legon, in her book entitled The History of Indigenous Slavery in Ghana from the 15th century to the 19th century, made us aware that many slave markets were used back then in the days. Many of them in West Africa, but then Gold Coast Ghana had about 63 of the slave markets. We have Salaga, Sampa, Janani, Etekrachi, Bono Manso, Techiman, Picoro, Asai Manso, the dungeon at Cape Coast, Elmina, Fort Amsterdam, Fort Williams, all the way to the Christian God dungeon in Osu, Accra, being used as slave market. There was a British historian, his name W.E. Ward. He was also traveling during the era of the slave trading, and he kept a journal entitled The Short History of Gold Coast. In that book, he also emphasized that many of the slave markets that I've mentioned were all functional, but two of them were playing historical roles. Asai Manso, where we stand today, and that of the Salaga slave market. The distance between the two slave markets is over 400 miles.
Ooh.
A journey of over 653 kilometers. The ancestors in those chains and shackles had to walk without shoes, almost naked and barefoot. They've been walking for that miles. 653 kilometers. It took them over 90 days to get in. Whilst coming, they walked through forests. Animals were attacking them. The captors thought their commodities were getting lost. So then they were sacrificing some of the captives. They will look at them. Those who were showing signs of weakness will move They moved them to the trees, tied them to it, gave them multiple whips. The blood got the attraction.
Attract the animals.
How they were feeding, they moved the rest out of the park. They got the people out, and then they met the river called the Pearl River. It was a huge and fast-flowing river. Our ancestors in those chains and shackles couldn't bear the look. That river got so many of them. A lot of them got drowned. Many of them, especially the women, couldn't bear the treatments. Aside them being raped, they were subjected to several other treatments. The stone treatment and the metal mask treatment. Because the women were crying always, the people thought they would shut them up. So they pushed stones into their mouth and then had it tied around their necks. If they wouldn't use that, they gathered the leaves and stuff it in there before covering it up with the metal mask. That way you get to shed tears. But the sound of the cry never comes out. They got here so hungry, dirty, and very, very skinny. It was here that they saw the need for them to be fed. But they weren't fed here because they were hungry. They had to feed them because they were looking too skinny. No buyer wants such a person. Whilst they were feeding them, the men were being looked at. Especially those with their hairs and beards bushy were being shaved off with broken bottles and knives. After that was done, they went ahead to check their teeth. The number of teeth they have in there helped them to group them into their various age groups before walking them to the river. But before we go there, here we have the ancestral graveyard. The remains of our mothers. Madam Crystal from Kingston, Jamaica. Samuel Carson from New York City, United States. And there we have the last one brought back from Barbados. The Prime Minister of Barbados brought those bones back. Crystal was a captive from all the way Kingston, Jamaica.
Oh my, why am I
They
getting
brought her
goosebumps?
Madame Crystal was a captive from this same land, Ghana. They took her all the way to Jamaica. They got to Jamaica and she wouldn't eat anything. Embarking on a hunger strike, she was caught in the act. They needed to force her to eat, and that was when they were using the chisel and hammer method. She wouldn't accept the food, so they were breaking the teeth. They would chisel the teeth out, bring it all out, put the funnel there, dish the food into the funnel with the help of water. They would then push it down the throat. That way she stayed alive for them not to lose their money. But she was a strong woman. Whenever she's forced to eat, she waits quietly. After they have all left, then she will get the hands forced into the throat and she throws everything.
Up.
She continued and died in the process. Her dying wish was to be brought back here, and that's why we have these bones.
And she was sent to Kingston, Jamaica?
Yes.
Is there pictures of her?
No, we never had a picture of her. Yes. So this is Samuel Carson.
Can I go in?
Please.
Okay.
This is Samuel Carson's living. Samuel was brought back from the United States. Samuel was one of the very first group of African Americans to serve in the U.S. Navy. He died and wasn't given a befitting burial. Because of the journey, they brought the bones back. Together, they flew the two of them, Crystal and Samuel, back to this land. They had them brought to this place to be buried for their souls to finally find peace on the land.
Wow. The tomb is unviewable.
2019 marked the beginning of a new era, and that was the year of return. A lot of our diaspora families came here. The Prime Minister of Barbados, Her Excellency Nia Amamokle, came back home so that they will bring the bones of their ancestors back to this land. So the bones of so many ancestors were excavated and brought to this land to be buried for their souls to find peace and rest. That's how come we have the third great rider.
Nice.
Ashes of relatives have been sprinkled all around the place as a sign of bringing back their spirit. If you are here and you find the people, you have the ashes of your relatives with you, we allow you to go in there and sprinkle them all around, putting their spirits back to the soil of Africa. And that's what this ancestral graveyard is all about. If not, we take the ashes to the river and allow the river to free their spirits. Let's take a walk to the river where they finally took their bath. Okay. Many of us come this way and we want to walk without the shoes on. Yeah, that's a way of connecting back the spirits of our ancestors to the soil. When our ancestors came here, they were without shoes. And as far as we are concerned, we share the same DNAs with them. When we visit this place, it's not just us anymore, but we are here with also the spirit of our ancestors in us. So when we come this way, for those who prefer to walk without the shoes, they take it off and we go all the way to the river.
Oh.
And walk without shoes. So as we are taking the walk, yes please, we're coming back the same way. I want you to ask yourself only one question. If our ancestors hadn't survived the journey across the oceans to the New World, if they hadn't survived to the Caribbean, if they hadn't survived to Lisbon in Portugal, to the Americas, where would we be? Where would we be? And so that's the question we will ask ourselves. And you will ask yourself the same question as we walk to the river. Okay. Anything that will come to mind, just bring it all together. When we get there, you will go out and share it with them. So please, take a picture.
Wow. Wow. I know also like a lot of Africans that know the in-depth history of what happened. They stick to their own
Culture,
culture.
practices.
So, for example, do you go to church? I understand. That's what I'm saying. The Africans that knows
and are getting
and
awoken.
study, like that lady that write the book.
Yes.
I know she doesn't go to church and believe in Jesus.
No.
So you believe in Jesus? No?
I believe in the Most High Supreme Being.
Supreme
Not-
being.
yeah.
Yes, you believe in something, but the white Jesus, I'm not sure.
The Supreme Being.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of people believe in God. No, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying for people that still
Yeah,
believe in
yeah,
the
yeah.
white Jesus, like, are you kidding me?
There is something supreme over everything.
Yo, with ancestors suffer, no, mama. Them suffer. Yes, of course, parents. And like being here, you see how like most of the Africans, they're so soft spoken. You know, they're so reserved. That's why I believe that the rebellious one them did really send to Jamaica, because Jamaica was the last stop. So they make them suffer more. Like they always say it. Like if you read like on the history, they always say like the worst slaves are the ones that were in Jamaica because they were the most rebellious. So they wanted them to suffer.
Don Concio, which literally means the slaves river, and the other one called Ochi, which means something that could grab. Our ancestors were not allowed to go to the Ochi because they were scared the river would get them washed away. So they kept them on this side, where it looks so calm and gently flowing. They went with there with the chains and shackles to keep them stable, preventing them from escaping. Our ancestors were there with the chains and shackles, a round metal ball around their ankles to hold them still. It was preventing them from escaping. Likewise, preventing them from cleaning themselves up. If my hands are like this, how do you expect me to clean myself? So they were helping each other. If I get you clean, you clean whoever is. So then we clean each other. But when they saw them doing that, they thought they were consoling each other or probably thinking of freeing themselves. So they got them separated. After the separation, they went ahead to cut down the bamboos. Along with the help of the leaves, they used that as a form of brush to wash them. It gave them bruises all over their body. And after they were cut, they moved them out here, got them lined up around this very river. It was here that they sold them. So they left them for a couple of minutes. After they got dried, they applied shea butter or pumpkin oil on them, allow them to get comfy, and then they will come back with the branding tools, a metal forged with the initials of these buyers.
To brand them.
Yeah, to brand them. So whoever is purchased is branded. They leave the marks on you to tell the public that you and
Property, yeah.
then they will take them to the dungeons. The Cape Coast Castle and Mina Castle.
Yeah, we just came from
Yeah, they will keep them there for a couple of minutes and a month, probably months before they move them out of this land. Those who were left in the chains here were called useless commodities. Every single one of them was shot dead. They killed them and dumped their bodies all around. Today you are here, not as an enslaved person. You are here on behalf of your ancestors. So we shall not go to the last.
The awesome months of Slave Riverside was definitely a excursion that was needed. I felt so much emotion being here, and I recommend everybody to do this if they ever go to Ghana, and definitely add Ghana to your bucket list. This walk was needed. Thanks to Kwame for being so amazing and taking us even when they were closed. I had to pay tribute. I had to show homage to my fourth parents and show gratitude. And I was so happy that I was able to write on the wall, now you have to pay to do this. And it was worth every penny. Let me know in the comment section if you learned anything from this vlog.